and it opens up the lines of communication when you need to talk to them about things that they did wrong and maybe correction, things that they can do better. So it's not so scary for them when they talk to you.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Pastor and Wife podcast.
Welcome to hang out with us today.
I'm Hansel.
I'm Natalie.
Well, we're going to talk about how to communicate with your kids effectively.
Yeah, I'm really happy we're talking about this because our last conversations were about why kids can fall away from the Lord. What else did we talk about? One other one.
How to keep them in the faith.
Yes, in the faith. And I think this is it's like we're getting down to kind of like the core, I mean, we could have so many conversations about this, but this is so important to all of those things. And I think it just all it all brings it together.
Yeah. And it's one thing that is lacking amongst many families, not even just Christian, but many other families lack communication skills. And so where do you want to start with that? What's one of the best practices in communicating with your children?
I think it's so multifaceted. I was thinking about it all week, and there's just so many things. I think the most important thing is probably that just to realize that communication, and to me, it's all about connection. I mean, you don't just want to be talking at each other. I mean, we communicate because we want to connect. And it's definitely a process, and it's definitely something that needs to be worked on and developed.
Okay. So where should families start? Let's say there's parents and they don't know their kids and their kids don't know them. So there's always conflict. Where do we begin?
This might surprise some people, but I think that it's really important to start to remember that our kids are in bodies, and their bodies need to be taken care of. And I'm talking about healthy food, like nourishment and energy, and I'm talking about sleep. And you know how passionate I am about sleep.
Yes.
And all of our kids are just trained well to sleep and to have that restorative sleep. And so, especially with little ones, but with teenagers and adults too, if I'm not well rested, I'm not going to communicate well. I'm going to be grouchy, and I'm going to be short, and I'm more likely to just react, and I'm less in control of my emotions and things. And can you imagine, what it's like for kids and for teenagers to not be getting enough sleep and to not really have as much self-control as we're supposed to have, and how hard that would be to communicate something.
I can imagine when if I'm not fully rested, I'm super grouchy.
Yeah. And it's the same with our kids. So, I mean, I think that's basic. The little ones, we have to keep them moving. If they're if they feel too wired to concentrate on what you're saying, or, and they can't kind of be in a restful situation where you're focusing on each other, then kick them outside. And, they need to have a, outlet for their energy, stuff like that.
Yeah. So it seems to me that you're saying that these things are all related. The energy expansion and good sleep.
Yeah, I think we need to think about, we can't forget that. I was reading a quote today. I've come across so many things about connection and communication with our kids this week. It's so funny how that happens.
Yeah. God's will.
Let's not forget that our children are in bodies, and we need and whatever they is going on in their bodies affects how they communicate and how well we can focus on each other.
So what if your kids they're not physical? They don't like going outside. They don't like going on the playground. How would you?
I think some kids need it more than others.
Okay.
But it's just something to be aware of. We don't have to spend like too much time, but I really wanted to bring that up because it's important. It's something that I forget sometimes, and I know a lot of parents can kind of just leave out of the equation.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I think as parents, we know our kids best, and we know, this little one's not here. So, what does he or she need?
Okay.
And sometimes, like, I guess with kids, they do better communicating when you're doing something also.
That's true.
Not
That's
just
true.
like sitting and talking.
That's true.
Communication is much more than just sitting and talking.
Yeah. I recently had a conversation with our eldest. He's 11, Kairos. So he's getting to the point where his voice is lowering and he's getting taller. So I had the birds and the bees conversation with him. And it was a good one. It was better and easier for me to bring it up when we went go-karting. And we got ice cream later, and he had a good time. And then he was open to talking about it. And come to find out, he wasn't interested in girls yet. And it wasn't on his mind. He'd rather talk about computers and video games.
Of course.
And I said, okay, that's all right. You don't have to like girls now,
Yeah.
But I told him, once you start having feelings for girls and you don't know what's going on, it's okay to talk to me. Don't be afraid to talk to me about it.
Yeah, and there's a lot of stuff there. I think another thing that we can do is to share our kids' interests.
Yeah.
Even if we don't share their interests, we better start sharing their interests because, it's something, if it's important to them, we have to show them that it's important to us too.
That's true. And that's easier said than done because,
Yeah.
you know me, I like video games, but Kairos, he plays Roblox.
He plays different games,
And,
Minecraft. And
Minecraft. And I'm like, what's the point of this game? Just to walk around and build stuff.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, is there a goal? He's like, no. And I'm like, what kind of game is this?
Yeah.
But that's what he likes. And, I've been asking him if he would want to play a game with me. So he's thinking of games that he wants to play. And I think that's really good to open up lines of communication.
Yeah, find connection points. And I have to learn about the game. And, how I grew up. In my family, we didn't have video games. We didn't play them. And when we got married, I told you, just so you know, I don't hate video games. I don't love them, but I just have zero value for them. So I will not spend lots of money on video game, computer game, whatever. And I told you. Do you remember?
Yeah, I remember.
So it's not that I don't like them, but it's just, so growing up that way, now my sons are kind of getting into stuff, and this is something that they love, and so I'm learning the games. I'm learning like the different characters and the storylines, and tell you what, our oldest really goes deep into the stories and the history of the game and of all the characters and all the theories and stuff like that. And so it's really, really hard. When he starts talking, I just like blank out and I totally zone out, and it's so hard to focus. I think I'm a good listener, but it's really, really hard to focus on what he's saying. So it takes a lot of effort.
It does.
And I incorporated into our school. We did a science project about different, what do you call it? Like habitats and, stuff like that. And he used Minecraft as,
he did a project.
Which animals, and we kind of.
With Minecraft.
We paralleled the Minecraft world with the real world and, made this whole project.
That's the beauty of homeschool, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He loved that thing. And he really remembers when, it's something, incorporates something that he's interested. So, we really, and not just like, because they can tell when you're pretending to be interested and when you're listening, but like not really listening. Yeah. So it's like you have to be engaged, ask questions, and it's hard sometimes.
It is.
But, and you find interest with, our 7-year-old Orion with outdoor stuff. And, it's almost like you have to have all these new hobbies you know.
I know. It's so true. I mean, with Athena, like Orion's easy. Like I like hiking. I like climbing mountains, and he loves it. So connect easy that way. With Athena, she's been wanting to sing. So she wants me to sing a song with her. And so we were watching YouTube videos, and she wants to sing. What's that song from Aladdin?
I can show you the world.
I can show you the world. So
Is that what
because
it's
it's a
called?
duet. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to learn how to sing too, and it's okay because she loves it. The smile on her face.
She loves it. She just yeah.
That's cool. And then Atlas, he's 2, so he just likes wrestling and fighting.
Yep.
Running, cooking. He calls it cooking.
Cooking.
And that's fine. That's easier because he doesn't know. But going back to Kairos, he's really gotten into making movies and videos.
Yeah, like he wants to. He's always been so creative, like such a creative kid, and yeah, he's always been interested. He really loves. Now, this is not for all kids and all families, but he really loves. What's his name? The director.
Steven Spielberg.
Tim Burton.
Oh, Tim Burton.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And it's kind of dark for a lot of families and a lot of kids, so whatever. But for us, he is so intrigued by the process of how he made the movies, and we watched all of his little shorts that he did when he was younger, and the claymation stuff and the filming and the camera angles and all that stuff. And he wants to code video games. He makes little games, and he's such a creator.
Yeah.
And so I think that's cool. Did you ask a question? I forgot where I was going with that.
No, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's like he, I got him a little camera when he was like 8 or something, and it's a terrible camera. It's the
awful.
Quality is awful. But he used it to make a horror film.
Yes.
It was really cool.
With
he
his
dressed
brothers
up
and
his
sisters.
brothers and sisters.
It was so hilarious.
And it looks scary because the camera quality is so bad.
Yeah.
It looks like someone filmed it from the 80s on a VHS camcorder.
Yeah, it's so good.
And so, he's like, Dad, how do I edit this footage I got? And I said, well, let's go to your computer. So we downloaded DaVinci Resolve. It's free. And he went to town and made a pretty cool video. Very good.
Yeah. That's super cool. And he asked me the other day, he was like, Mom, if I'm editing, does that count as my screen time? And I really had to think about it. I don't have like rules put in place for all this stuff. And I said, no, I think, that's like working on a project. So,
yeah,
that's where we stand right now. But
yeah, and I'm not so worried about that because, man, the creator economy, Wall Street Journal and Forbes is saying it's going to be in the hundreds of billions of dollars, like the whole industry, within 5 years. And so, I mean, look, we're content creators too. And so if he wants to do it, well, why not? Why not start at a young age? He might be, the next, $1 million a month YouTuber or whatever he wants to do. As long as it's, within our family values, Christian values, I don't see anything wrong with it. It's a skill that a lot of people pay a lot of money to learn. Yeah,
it's one of those skills that's so important to have too. I mean, I can't tell you how much I've used like the digital skills and production skills and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I didn't imagine how much I'd be using it now and how much there is to learn. Every year there's something new. So if that's something he's interested in, then that's definitely a smart thing to do. I mean, you know,
absolutely.
To encourage to go for it.
Everybody gets their information from their phones, which is connected to social media apps, and which is connected to video apps like YouTube, Rumble, Odyssey, BitChute. All those things are now how people communicate primarily. I'm kind of sad. It's like I think it's essential for human beings, especially Christians, to have a face-to-face meeting, group proximity. It's in the Bible, and God makes that priority. But we do have to realize communicating with the larger public is through social media and apps and stuff.
So, I mean, this is a good thing to talk about, because one of the things about communication that's important is not to be distracted by social media and your phone and stuff like that when you're really communicating and connecting with someone you care about, or anyone. So I guess they're kind of like, this is like two different subjects we're talking about, kind of.
Yeah, no, but I wanted to tie it in because when you're communicating that way, you have to make time for real face-to-face communication.
Right.
Because if you don't, then it just becomes about the relationship that's online, which is not in the real world. I mean, there's value to it at the start. But now with our kids, what we have to do is like combine their love for that, because I've already, made up my mind to say that they are going to be on social media. They are going to use the internet. They are going to use...
Eventually, when they're ready.
Yeah, when they're ready.
Yeah, of course.
They don't have phones or anything right now. But
No
they will be using those things. And we want that to be the gateway to real life friends, where they get in a car and go on a trip, and they go to a concert or something, and that type of thing.
In our communities or groups that we're in, homeschool groups, church groups, I always really stress that if we're with people and there are kids here, you're not going to be on a screen, know, and in our homeschool events or screen-free events.
Yes. That's good.
And I'm so happy because it's really sad when kids get together, or families get together, and the kids are all just on their tablets. And because if one does it, then what are you going to do? What I'm going to say? Like, you can't play with a kid that's on their tablet. You can't talk with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, no, I have to make a decision, do I let my kid because that kid's doing it? And then it's like, then they're all just on their screens or something. And so I really try, if we are with people right now.
Yeah.
We are not with our devices right now.
Yes.
So I don't care how uncomfortable you are. We are with each other, and I don't care who's on their screens. Play with your brother, whatever, listen to our conversation, but, yeah, that's definitely a value, to learn how to be with people.
Well, communicating directly with our kids is impacted by that. If they can have face-to-face conversations with the world around them, then it's easier for the parent and the child to do that. Because that's what's versa. Missing. I run into kids that have no social skills whatsoever. And it's ironic that our kids and our co-op friends' kids are all in homeschool, and yet they are good at communicating face to face. They can make games up when
they can talk to anyone.
Yeah, right. They can talk to anyone when they're bored. They make games up, as a skill, and they have a good time even without tablets, phones, video games.
Because we're used to, eating dinner together and talking at dinner together. We're used to when we, and I always like to say, don't just do stuff for your kids, but do stuff with your kids.
There you go. That's the secret.
To not just, we love our kids, but it's easy to just kind of, just let me do it, And so just having actual time with them and experiences with them every chance you get, that helps so much.
I believe that. For me, making memories with the boys and Athena, of course, gets them to talk to me about things.
Yeah.
Especially Athena. It doesn't take much for her. It just takes 5-10 minutes of me pretending to drink tea. And then now she's like talking my ear off. I mean, when we went camping, she kept talking and talking, and I fell asleep. And she just kept talking. She didn't care. And
she's a night owl too.
Yeah, she's asking questions about everything. Like how when was the first time camping as a kid, and how long did it take you and my brothers to walk here from the trail? This and that. And
all the details.
Yeah, the details. When night comes, she wants details, and I want sleep. So yeah, it's really cool.
So I had a crazy story. crazy thing our kid did this week.
Yeah. Okay.
This one's short, but I just thought it was so funny, and I thought it might relate to our conversation. This was about our 2-year-old, and he, I think it was in the morning. I know he's changed his sleep habits a lot, and so now he likes to do everything himself, everything independently. So it used to be I used to hold him, I would carry him to the bed, and I would sing him his song, and I would lay him down. None of that. He has to do it himself. He has to press the little white noise thing himself. He has to turn it on. He has to get it himself. And so now he wakes up by himself, which is nice. So the funny thing was that he gets up one morning, and I'm still in bed, but he just gets up himself, and I was kind of just watching him to see what he would do. And he got up, and he's like stumbling around because he just woke up, and it's so cute. And he opened our door because he sleeps in our pack and play in our room. And he opens the door to our room, and he trips on something, and he falls, and he's like, "Oh, are you okay?"
He says it to himself.
To himself. And he gets up, and then he walks over to me, and he's like, he tells me that he fell, like, "Mommy, I falled." And I said, "Are you okay, Atlas?" He says, "Yeah." And then he walks out, and he's cool.
That's awesome. That's
You
awesome.
okay?
Man, what a tough kid. But I love how we can just tell these stories, so honestly. And it's just hilarious being a parent. I love it.
Well, I love 2-year-olds because they don't care. It's like they'll tell you what they need.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's so easy. And I wish I was more like that. And like, where in life did we lose that skill just to be like, hey, I fell. Ask me if I'm okay.
Yeah, for sure.
And they're just so demanding, but there's something so, pure about that. Like just telling people what they need.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that.
Yeah. And listening, I think, to that, and it worked for all the kids, like really listening is communication.
Yeah.
In fact, I think parents need to listen a little bit more and then digest the information and then, speak it back to the kids. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like, when we do marriage counseling, we do that speaker and listener situation. Mm-hmm. So if you guys don't know what that is, one of our mentors taught us to use a DVD player and a TV monitor thing. So, back in the day, you had a DVD player, you put the disc in, and it plays the movie through the monitor or the screen. Mm-hmm. So the DVD player is actually, its job is to give the monitor correct information.
Right.
And then the monitor, the TV, is supposed to relay that information as accurately as possible. Mm-hmm. And so with the kids, the screen should be depicting what is on the disc. And so for the kids, same thing. When they ask me, "Oh, this is what I want to do," sometimes if it's not clear to me, I ask them back, like, "Is this what you want to do? Is this right?" Mm-hmm. And that works well for communication. Mm-hmm. They feel like they're listened to. It feels like I care. Mm-hmm. And they're not afraid to tell us things after that.
Yeah, and it takes time to really build a lot of trust. It takes a lot of those experiences day to day, and everyday things that we do. If we spend time, like I said before, like doing things together, doing chores together, teaching them things to do, how to do things. When you change the oil, they'll come out and they'll watch you, and you can explain what you're doing and all this stuff, and have them help with, I don't know, something. Have them help with more stuff than you think that they can do.
Yeah.
Because if you're there, you can be there if they make a mistake.
Yeah.
Too,
and it's okay. But, don't give them anything dangerous, but I let them turn wrenches.
Yeah, and I let them cut stuff in the kitchen if I'm there, and sometimes I'm like, I haven't taught your 2-year-old brother how to cut yet, but I've taught you how to cut, and I'll remind them. You show them how to do it, and then you do it together, and then you watch them do it, and then it's the whole process of just it's just always that back and forth and listening and just and being that I think in doing so, you become that safe place for them.
Yeah.
And if you really want to know how to communicate with your kids, it's kind of in this everyday, back and forth, these experiences together where, you're supporting them and you're working together all the time.
Yeah.
And I think that builds a lot of trust and safety.
It does. How would you explain this, or what would your suggestion be to parents that both work, send their kids to school, and they only see each other at nighttime? How would you tell them to go about doing that?
A couple things come to mind. I think you really, really have to take advantage of every minute that you have with them. Always eat dinner together. You could even make a list of, and this is for everyone, make a list of engaging questions rather than, and just, you pick them up from school and say, how was your day? Well, what answer do you normally get is fine, whatever, or nothing. And but make a list, like literally, like think of, and there's so much stuff on Instagram and stuff. Think of interesting questions that you can ask them, open-ended questions.
Yeah.
Interesting things, or that you can ask at dinner time, and they have games that you sell, like little cards, and just use all the stuff and all the ideas. There's tons out there, just to get your kids to think of life in a different way. And what's your favorite thing that happened today? What's your least favorite thing that happened today? And just kind of, it's okay to have like a routine, and they know what to expect, and or come up with something new sometimes. But you just you got to do the work, I think.
You do. And even if it's just weekend stuff, I mean, I spent the day camping with the kids, or a night overnighter, and man, they all remember when we were playing the Oregon Trail card game in the tent.
Yeah.
And it was so funny because we never win. We always die.
Everyone always dies.
Yeah,
I don't know if we've
ever
finished that game.
Repeating the story over and over and over again.
Oh, yeah.
How Daddy died of a snake bite, and Athena died of dysentery, and ran out of food, and it's real to them. And they just love it. They just love it, and it opens up the lines of communication when you need to talk to them about things that they did wrong, and maybe correction, things that they can do better. So it's not so scary for them when they talk to you.
Yeah. Two things I'm thinking about. I hate it when my brain just I think of a million things at once, and I can't ever focus. Okay. So, all right. So one other thing is, I think we have to be really careful, when we put our kids in extracurricular activities and sports and stuff. We just really have to have a good balance of things to do, and not too much. And it's easy to want to sign your kids up for all the experiences and stuff, everything that they want to do. And but I think we always have to prioritize our family time.
Yes.
You can sign your kids up for a sport, but is this sport bringing our family closer together, or is a sport going to just cause more busyness and more time apart and more just kind of hecticness, and especially when you're away from your kids and you're away from each other all day.
Right.
You have to choose activities that really will bring the family closer together and not more time apart.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up sports, because I have a pet peeve about sports is why do they have games on Sunday?
Yeah.
It used to be all on Saturday, or sometimes, Friday night, things like that. But now they have games on Sunday, and that's in direct competition with going to church. And I believe families that go to church together are much stronger, because not only, I get it, they go to their class and this, but you're going to worship together, and it gives parents a starting point to talk to their kids. Hey, what you learned in Sunday school today? Did you learn anything new about God? These types of things. And that's lost when you're in sports. Now, I know you sports families, football, soccer people, I'm not trying to take that away from you. I'm just saying what Natalie's saying is be careful, especially if you're a Christian and you value time with the Lord, because I think there's a special thing that happens there when the time with the Lord is what you're communicating with your kids. That's vital.
Yeah. Yep. That has to be a family value. Nothing gets in the way of our time with the Lord together. And you can do that every morning.
Yeah.
But, that communal time with the church together is really important too.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then, so the other thing rolling around in my brain was that I was reading a lot about this week because I'm convicted about this, especially with one of our kids, was the amount of positive, constructive things that we tell our kids in relation to the corrections that we tell them.
Important.
Because we have one child who is very, very, very sensitive to correction, and he's really hard on himself already. And I just get so frustrated because I'm like, and I'm thinking, what's wrong with you? You're totally fine. And it's, I know, like, I must say the most horrible thing is because it frustrates me that he's so hard on himself. But then I realize how much I correct him. And sometimes, like, I'll just let his backwards letter go, because it's especially when you're homeschooling too. It's like there's so much to correct. And I know correction for me is a positive thing. Yeah. But for him, it really brings him down. Yeah. And so I the great not all of you will recognize his name, but Andrew Pudewa, who's an educator for the Institute for what's it called? IEW Institute. No. For something in writing. Oh my gosh, I forgot what it stood for. Anyway, he talks about he's a great, amazing educator, and he always talks about how he used to teach violin, and for every student that came in, he would give them 10 positive affirmations for every one correction that he gave them. Oh, okay. So by the time they started their lesson, he's, oh, cute dress. Oh, I like your hair. It's so pretty. You look so cheerful today. Just like over and over and over again. And that's like so hard for me. I'm really not used to that. And, but it's really important. And I know it can sound like we're kind of making little snowflakes, but like, I think I know this will really strengthen our kids.
It will.
Because it builds trust with us. And I don't know, what do you think? Well, about, like being safe, all this stuff, safe space, positive affirmation.
I don't like those, but when you have a positive affirmation and you do it biblically, then it produces strength. The directive for Christians in the New Testament about like prophetic language, calling things that are not yet into the present, is for building up edification and comfort. And so it's biblical. I have an example when we're talking about Orion. He's so sensitive to correction. Before, he wouldn't want to do martial arts with me because he would do it wrong. And I would explain to him, everybody does it wrong. Every single thing is wrong. You're supposed to
do it wrong first. Yes.
You just have to try it. And then your body will learn. And he would get upset. He would leave and cry. But I just kept at it. And one day, he just wanted to do it with me. And it's not perfect, but I say, man, good job, because I knew where he came from. Yeah. And now he's doing pretty good. He's doing some kickboxing and he's doing some, grappling. And it's really good because to see the confidence level go up, you just have to do it right. If everything's a positive affirmation and there's no correction, right, that's where it becomes a problem. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like you just have to capitalize on that one moment where they think, oh, hey, this looks fun. And you're like, hey, it's fun. Let's try it, and there you go. And then you're good. And then, just really recognizing where they're coming from. And it really does build strength when you do it correctly. And not at all saying to never correct your child. And I think maybe that's where people can get off balance, is that it's too much positive
Yeah, too much.
affirmation and
Too much.
not enough correction.
Yeah.
But I think I err on the other side is too much correction and then nitpicking,
Yeah.
I definitely do that.
Yeah.
And so just come at it from their perspective, like this task is really dumb to me, but really hard for them. Like, wow, that was a great try. I'm so proud of you. And just kind of framing things differently is just makes all the difference.
It does. It does. Wow, time went by fast.
Too fast.
I think we're going to talk about this again.
Yeah.
But that was a lot of good information, and I hope you guys got the information, but more so, you got the heart of what we were talking about, because I know you love your kids and we love our kids, and if we really want to make a difference in our country or in the world, it's our kids that need to be better than us. So, anything else?
I'm good.
All right.
To be continued.
To be continued, you guys. All right. Well, we'll see you guys next time. God bless.
Bye.
Bye.